Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show. Happy Easter, everyone, and happy Easter to my co-host, Rich Baxter. Rich, happy Easter.
Happy Easter, Gary. I hope the Easter Bunny came your way and dropped off some goodies.
Oh, as usual, you know it. I don't need the goodies, but what are you gonna do? It's a holiday.
I, I went through my local Walmart this morning after breakfast. They wiped that place out of all the candies. I was looking over at it, and it was just a bunch of empty shelves. And then there was a lady coming down the aisle. She says, "What happened?" Yeah, the Easter Bunny happened.
Well, he who hesitates is lost. You got to get there early,
Yeah,
Rich, and scoop up those goodies.
yeah. There'll be nothing to put on sale at the local Walmart.
CVS used to be another good place for that.
Oh yeah, yeah. You got to get the after Easter sale.
There you go, right? And that's when we used to pick up the decorations as well.
Sure.
They mark those babies down, especially around Christmas time. After Christmas, you get those Christmas decorations for
Yeah.
next year. So that works out. Well, Rich, I would like to say that it is the first week of baseball. It is for you.
Yes. Yes.
Not so much me though. My team hasn't got to play a game yet.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, as many of you probably know, the Mets and the Nationals got postponed. But as you said, Gary, baseball exploding out across the country with fans. It was interesting to hear the opening few minutes of the show for the local team I follow is, of course, the Phillies. But that's the thing that all the announcers said. It's so nice to have the fans back in there. It's a different atmosphere, totally different ballpark going on. Even though it was a third of the audience or less, baseball's back, and so are some fans in certain locations.
Yes, and I forgot to mention this to you ahead of time, but it just dawned on me. If any of our listeners has T-Mobile or Sprint, you could sign up for MLB TV for free for this season.
Yeah.
And I happen to have Sprint, and I just signed up for it, and I have been enjoying some of the West Coast action. Watched a little bit of the Phillies game the other day, I should say, as well. And I have a rant coming up, or a bone to pick with MLB. So I wouldn't
Of
have
course
paid
we
the
do.
$129, though it is probably worth it. But
Yeah.
getting it for nothing, I am going to take full advantage of it, and
Yeah.
have been enjoying it because I have no Mets baseball to watch. So I
Yeah.
watched the White Sox and the Angels, a couple of teams that I have to say I'm somewhat impressed with. Pittsburgh's been on the impressive side against the Cubs. They played the Cubs, and they look pretty good. I don't think they're going to go far. They're still
Um,
young, but they're impressive. So in the early part, 3 games,
yeah.
But I have been enjoying it. And you've had that package in the past, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, a friend of mine has had T-Mobile for the past several years, and he's been trying to get me to switch for a couple seasons now because he's had the free MLB package with T-Mobile that he got for free for the past couple years.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, he's been really loving it, and it's a nice perk. Now the Sprint people have it,
Yeah.
uh, and that's great.
Well, T-Mobile and Sprint merged, so they're like one company or something. But they kept the separate identities for a while, I guess. And yeah, they offered it to us. And um, I signed up for it and
Yeah.
was very happy with it.
Yeah. Now, you had mentioned that the Mets haven't been playing. Why don't you catch us up to speed on what's been happening? Because yeah, if you're outside of the New York metro area, you've seen that the Mets and the Nationals were postponed. But what's the latest, so to speak, on what's going on with that?
Well, the latest is that they've canceled the Mets until Monday, so opening day will become, excuse me, will become Monday against your Philadelphia Phillies in Philadelphia,
Hmm.
and that's what it is right now. Four or five members um, of the Washington Nationals.
Yeah.
Um, they contacted, came down with COVID-19. I think it was four players.
Hmm.
Um, Four players that came down, and one personnel member or something, and so they MLB in its infinite stupidity or wisdom decided to cancel the series so they could track it better. Now, here's my beef with that.
Hmm.
They have a taxi squad this year. They
Uh huh.
have uh, they have minor leaguers. Minor leaguers in camp for the season going to start in May, and I don't understand why they didn't just make them call up players to play these games. You're not.
Yeah. And
Go ahead.
mhm. I was just going to say, and that's what you were saying earlier about, the taxi squad, the backup squad, so to speak. But it seems like they did this last year too.
Mm-hmm. They did. Remember, the Marlins and the Cardinals had to make up all kinds of games along the way. Now it's easier because the Nationals and the Mets are in the same division. But the problem is, what happens if you're in a pennant race and you're fighting one another, and then you've got a doubleheader in the middle of August after playing through the heat of the summer and the heat of August, and then you got a couple of doubleheaders to make up games that really should have been played or they should have been forfeited. That's my opinion. If they're unable to play, they can't field the players. I, I would, they have to forfeit. Now, from what all I read, it seemed like Washington was ready to go. It was MLB that stepped in, and I don't understand that. Just leave well enough alone. Let them play the games so they're shorthanded. Big deal. If you had four guys that got hurt of your starters, they're not going to cancel series and say, "Well, look, we got four guys that got upset stomachs, or got the flu, or got headaches, or got a broken leg. Can we, cancel the series until the guys come back from the broken leg?" You don't do that. Now, maybe I'm all off base. It could be, but in my opinion, you set up these extra rules with the taxi squad. You have minor leaguers. If somebody gets hurt, normally you bring in a minor leaguer, and they take his place, or you bring somebody off the bench, and then you usually call up somebody. Why couldn't you do that in this situation? Didn't make any sense. These guys are ready to go, and they come from Florida where they're nice and warm and they're all loose, and now they come to the cold weather. So they get all set, ready to go mentally too. And now they got to sit for 3 days, and And now they're going to play a team that's got 3 games under their belt already, and
Yeah.
that's a big thing mentally to start the season. They're just taking batting practice and stuff. These guys have been in the game action already, so I don't. It just kind of ticks me off that they did it that way. Um, it should have been done some other way. I don't. Again, they should have either been made to forfeit or play the games.
Yeah. I mean, as you said, life should go on, but I guess out of abundance of caution, I guess you could say that's probably the reason. If 3 or 4 had it, does 8 or 12 have it as well? They just want to rule that out, I guess, and before it would become a situation where they couldn't play at all, possibly. But the bright side, excuse me, as you said, Gary, opening day Monday for the Mets. It'll be against the red hot Phillies. And the Phillies have surprised a little bit here early on. Here, they picked up 2 quick wins so far. And anytime your team wins, I could say you're probably pretty surprised and happy.
And they did it against the Braves. Am I correct in that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they
The
played the
first two
Braves.
games.
Yeah.
The first game, before we go into our, what happened with the MLB, of course, during the week, the first game involved the new rule of starting a runner at second with extra innings. And there was a lot of backlash about that. We all know the Phillies won the game, but it was really, one of a few times where Phillies fans have been exposed to this rule, and now it's
Right.
it's in living color, so you have to live with it. I was watching a game, happened to be at work. I was glancing up at the screen, and somebody said, "How'd the guy get on third?" to me, and I was like, "I'm sorry, I glanced down for a second. I didn't see." Well, he started out at second. So I quickly brought up the stat and I said, "Oh, yeah, the extra innings, they started him out at second. All you got to do is bunt or get a fly ball and you're on third."
Right. Right. Right.
So they moved him to third. They couldn't score him. He was thrown out at the plate. He almost scored. The Phillies missed losing that by this close. I mean, it was a bang bang play, little hesitation by Ozzy Albies on that, and he was tagged out by JT Realmuto at home. Then the Phillies went on, moved the runner from second, who was Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper came in to score. Game over, 10th inning. So, not a big fan. I'm glad the Phillies won, of course, but I felt like it was a cheap win.
Well, I understand what you're saying. I don't know if I'd consider it a cheap win, but look, it's the rule, and they're gonna go by it. So you just got to go with the flow, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I
And
like hockey. I like hockey. Now, I watched hockey the other night. They have a whole, 5 or 6 minute period
right,
of overtime. Then they'll go to a shootout. To me, that's like a shootout. So give us 2 innings of ball back and forth before you put the guy on second. Then I'll take the guy on second, but not in the top of the 10th. The game's been too close for too long. Whoever's batting first in the 10th's got a huge, huge percentage of chance to win that game.
that's a good point. I
But of
think
course,
that would make it more reasonable.
yeah, I could live with that. Give me 2 innings. If nobody wins by then you start the runner at second.
In the 12th inning.
Yeah. Give him a chance to continue that play, you know.
Right.
Don't, make it artificial. And to me that was so artificial.
Yeah, I can. That makes a lot of sense. That's why they won't do it. You know how Major League Baseball is. They won't do something like that. But like I said, I've been watching some of the games, and you're right. The Phillies have been pretty impressive. They've been getting some decent pitching. Um, the Marlins have looked also. They've been in every game. It's been tight games. And who the heck are they playing now?
The Marlins. Let's go over to. Let me see here. I got the schedule up right here. Marlins and the. Let's see. Did they play today? It would be odd if
No, I
they
think
didn't.
they have. I think the announcer said they had the day off today.
Yeah, they don't play today, so
But
they must
they
have
have
played
a
the first.
they have a second baseman. The guy's name is Jazz Chapman or something like that.
Uh huh.
This guy is good. I saw him steal a run yesterday. He got a hit. He stole second while the pitcher still had the ball, and it was a lefty pitcher. He took off early, and the guy just didn't pay that much attention to him and stepped off the rubber and everything through to second. He beat the throw to second. Um, he stole third on the next pitch and then scored on a short sacrifice fly. The guy's got speed. He's going to be one of those guys to watch. And they're playing the Rays. That's what it was. Tampa Bay. Um, he looked really good. Cincinnati, I was a little impressed with as well. They've got a decent offense, and they're getting some bats going and some pitching. They're going to be tough coming out of the Central. Also, I was impressed with the White Sox. Got a guy named Mikado, who's a catcher, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was DH. He is off. You had some pictures of him earlier on the MLB site. There, he is off to some start. He looks like a real good player too. 8 for 8 start. He got off to. It says there. So
Wow.
he was a good one, and of course Mike Trout and the Angels. I liked the way they looked as well. They played well the first couple of games. So it's real early. San Diego's another team, but it's
Yeah.
so early. It's hard to say whether they'll stick the whole grind. But just fascinating and fascinating to flip around and watch the different games. So really been enjoying it so far.
Yeah, we didn't do our season picks like we usually do this year, but on the radar, of course, were the Padres for me. I think they're going to give the Dodgers all they can handle out west. And so far, the Houston Astros have turned in a perfect record so far amidst a lot of flack they got. And they will continue to get all season, I'm sure, wherever they go. That was a big story following them.
Yeah.
And the Cubbies off to an even start. In fact, the NL Central, they're all 1-1. So the whole league, their NL Central 1-1.
Well, and like I said, there's a couple of teams that were impressive there. Cincinnati, I think that division's going to be a dogfight. Um, I think Pittsburgh's going to be better, but they don't. They're very young, but they look energetic, and sometimes that can carry you. I don't think they're ready to win, but I think they're going to be very, very competitive all year. Um, it's not to say they're gonna, they could lose 90 games, but I think they're gonna be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Cubbies are still the Cubbies. They still got uh, the tombstone there, or the building blocks of what they had when they won the World Series back in 16. So those guys are still pretty young. Bryant's still there. Baez. Uh, they got Arrieta back, who looked very good yesterday. Pitched some good innings yesterday. So you know
Yeah,
that confuses you, right?
I think Arrieta was like a fish out of water in Philadelphia, perhaps. He just didn't fit in there. Everything he didn't fit in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
He had sort of a, you know, I'm a superstar type of, chip on his shoulder to me.
yeah, yeah,
And he
yeah.
wasn't that good in Philadelphia. So his I don't know. I don't know how to describe it other than maybe he just signed there for the money. It didn't seem like he was all in. All his chips were pushed in Philadelphia to me. It just he wasn't committed to that team, I don't think.
Well, it could have been a thing too where he tried too hard. You know, you try too hard when you sign a big salary like that, and then it just kind of it backfires on you because then you don't you can't you're too tight or whatever you want to call it. You know, and you're pitching like instead of pitching to win, you're pitching not to lose,
Right.
and you know that could be part of it. He looked good yesterday, I have to say.
And
And
just the um after he had bad games, he would acknowledge it in a press conference, but out on the mound, he wasn't like over impressed that he was doing terrible. He wasn't like banging his glove. He wasn't, maybe that's just his
that's his
nature, but
personality. Yeah,
yeah, it just seemed like, oh, well, I'll do whatever I do. And that's what I do type of thing. Like at least, be a little demonstrative on the mound. Show us that you're, you know, care about doing poorly.
yeah.
That's the takeaway I got from him. It was like, oh well, I'm still getting paid.
Well, I mean, it could be. I think it's just the way he was. He's probably just a laid back type of guy, and uh, and Philly's a different town. You know that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Charlie Morton we played against yesterday for the Braves. He's still hanging around in the MLB, and he was terrible for the Phillies. They dealt him out, and he had one of the best careers that he ever turned in, and he's up in years now.
he was
Charlie Morton.
terrific with the Astros. He was good with the Rays last year.
Yeah,
Now he's
yeah,
back with the Braves, correct?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The Phillies beat him yesterday, thank God.
I like to beat those old guys when they come back into town, and of course, I looked with great chagrin at yesterday's game because you got a great performance from an ex-Met, Zach Wheeler, who the Mets should have never let go. Should have
Yeah,
never let him go at all. Should have signed him, and never mind extending Marcus Stroman. They should have signed him 2 years ago. The Wheeler, and but they let him go. The Phillies got him, and he can be dominating.
yeah. And I think he's going to be the Phillies ace, by the way, this year. Not that I don't like Nola, but I've seen him over the years now. It seems like he's becoming victimized by the home run. There was a couple balls he threw that stayed in the park, thankfully to the wind during the second game or the first game there in Philadelphia. But I really think by July we're going to see Zach Wheeler, number one pitcher for the Phillies.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. The excuse me, Wheeler when he is on is a dominant force. He can be dominant. He's got that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it at all. He has gotten more consistent over the last few years. So you should see that. I think he may be a tad more consistent than Nola is, and but that's not a bad 1-2 punch going into a series. So who knows? It's so early, but no, you can't count out anybody at this stage.
No, not at all. Season is young, so to speak, and we had some kind of upsetting news. Depends what side of the fence you're sitting on with this, but this last month,
Upsetting is
uh,
not the word.
yeah, the last week actually, not month, but big news out of the MLB. They get political again. Unbelievable. Moving the 2021 All Star game that was supposed to be in Atlanta, a showcase for the new stadium. All the fans down there in Atlanta. Uh, just a few hours after the commissioner welcomed back the fans and all and wanted to welcome us all back, he pulls this out of the back of his hat and sides with, I don't know what kind of side you want to call it, the dumb side of allowing stupidity to continue is about the easiest way I could put it.
Well, he sided with the cancel culture. That's plain and simple. He caved. He's a moron. He should be immediately fired from his job. We should all boycott the All-Star game. I am calling everybody out there that hears this or listens to it, boycott the All-Star game. Do not watch it. Do not give MLB any money. This guy, obviously, Manfred, did not read the Georgia bill. He was sucked in by the lies from the moron in the White House and the rest of his crew of left-wing whack jobs that are bringing this country down. And he's going to bring the sport of baseball down with these stupid political moves. Well, we listen to the players. A friend of mine said, well, maybe he did it to throw to appease the union, because the union came to him and said, oh, the players are not happy. They don't want to play. Tough beeswax. If you don't want to play in Georgia, then don't play. How come they're not making the Braves move then? If you don't want to play the All-Star game there, but you can play a regular season game there, how about that hypocrisy?
And how about this? Let's back up a little bit. Where was the Atlanta ballpark before? It was downtown. It was in the city of Atlanta. Right now, the ballpark of Atlanta is 20 miles north of the city. It's outside of the city of Atlanta. It's no longer really in Atlanta. I'm surprised they can still call themselves Atlanta Braves.
All these parks, a lot of the parks are outside, technically, and they still use the big cities. But they're not, because they're protesting the whole state. That's the whole thing. They're protesting the state of Georgia, and they'll say the Braves are still in the state of Georgia. But you'll go in there to play single regular season games, but you don't want to play your big game of the year. That they've been probably advertising for a year. There's probably T-shirts, hats, all kinds of merch already made up and everything. And now he pulls the plugs on this 3 months before. And then where are they going to move it to? He didn't even name a spot yet. They don't have a spot. Who? Maybe teams don't want it. Maybe they don't want the political end of it. But in his statement, it's very clear that he didn't even read the bill. But he's just regurgitating the lies that are coming out of Biden's mouth. Who I don't think. Well, he's only getting fed things from his handlers because he's not running anything. Biden. It's obvious that he's incompetent and a complete boob. And the vice president, any better, Vice President Giggles, who laughs at every serious question she gets. Are we going to blow up Iran? I don't know. I mean, this is the dimwits that are running our country right now, and I'd like to know who really is running it. It's some cabal behind the scenes that are running it, and we're all gonna. I was hoping that MLB would stand up because somebody's got to stand up to this culture. Somebody's got to take the lead and say, no, no, no more. To quote Luc Picard, the line must be drawn here, no further. Because we're all going to wake up one morning and say, what the hell happened? What the hell happened to our country? And I was hoping that Major League Baseball would have the guts. I'm not surprised because knowing Manfred, the guy's a waste of time. And something became clear to me. We always wonder, why is he ruining this game? Well, I don't know why, but he's got to be a liberal. And like the liberals in Washington that are ruining this country, why we don't know why, but they want to ruin the country. He wants to ruin baseball for some reason. And that's why he's got these stupid 7-inning double headers and it's stupid man on second rule. And the man needs to be fired. We need somebody with guts. I was saying before that a friend of mine said, well, maybe he did this to appease, to throw a bone to the union because the CBA is coming up in next season. And I believe he just did the opposite. He empowered the union more because now the union figures, oh, we can threaten him or we can, do this, and they're going to cave. Manfred's going to cave. And so I think he didn't accomplish anything by this. He's gotten, probably 50 to 75% of the fan base ticked off that he moved the game, that he did cave in. And I tell you, if I'm very tempted not to watch the games, but it's all we have now in this COVID thing. So I can't give up the games, but I will not watch the All-Star game. I will not watch the Home Run Derby, and I will not buy products from anybody that sponsors it. So,
Yeah.
If I can get people to join me and to send a message to Major League Baseball, I thought I had the address and I don't. But you can find it, the commissioner's office. Look, New York State has a tougher voting laws than in Georgia under this new law. They have less early voting days, less of everything. And yet, where are Major League Baseball headquartered? They're headquartered in New York. How come nobody's raising a stink about that? This might be why they're having trouble finding a spot too, because many of the states have voter ID laws. Many have some of these ideas, and it's the shame of it is it's based on blatant lies. That's the whole thing, and we can clarify that. I know this is a baseball show, but they're saying, oh, you can't bring water out. No, that's a lie. The poll workers can organize water and food for people online. Political organizations can't. So, in other words, Biden for president or Trump for president or the Democrats or tree huggers for Biden or whatever can't come now and bring you food and water online. But poll workers can. Your brother, your sister, your cousin can come and give you water. Hey, here's an idea. If you think you're gonna be a line, why not pack a sandwich and bring your own water? Hey, they're making it easier for people to get absentee ballots. They used to have to go through a signature search. Now they want to have voter ID. Oh, black people can't get IDs. Well, are you kidding me? You need an ID for everything.
And that that therein lies the problem. It's not just one race that is going to have a problem, quote unquote, and what kind of problem it is, I don't know. But the proper thing would be to help those people, not to say, oh, well, yeah, let's let that continue to exist if they don't have any identification. And I mean, anybody, me, you, your next door neighbor, uh, and not just specifically one race. And I think that's one of the um, fallbacks of the liberals, one of the clutching, we're doing this because of them. No, they're not. They're pulling the wool over your eyes as they're filling their pockets up with money. That's what's this all about.
That's
All
right.
these politicians want to do is line their pockets. They don't care about you, whether you're black, white, red, or yellow.
And they want
And that's
the
the
power.
and that's the plain truth. If you're concerned about a group of people, no matter who they are, just call them John Q. Citizen or Nancy Q. Citizen that doesn't have an ID. Help them get an ID. How hard can that be? Don't just say, we're going to allow this to continue um, and push it under the rug, so to speak, if that's the issue. And it's really not, because as you just said, Gary, you've got to show ID now to buy a beer in some states around this country. You've got to produce an ID. I remember I was on a business trip to Pennsylvania. I bought 2 beers to go back to the hotel with a sandwich. I had to show my ID. I'm 50 years old. I was like, what the hell is this? And she scanned it. God knows what kind of database that went into. Now, I should have protested that. I'm not buying any more beer in Pennsylvania. But I was stunned. I was like, what the hell's this? But something serious like voting, I can see.
Look, activities required where a photo ID is necessary, and apparently it's not racist. Purchase alcohol, purchase cigarettes, open a bank account, apply for food stamps, apply for welfare, apply for Medicaid, apply for Social Security, apply for a job, apply for unemployment, rent a house, buy a house, apply for a mortgage, drive a car, rent a car, buy a car, get on an airplane, get married, purchase again, adopt a pet, rent a hotel room, apply for a hunting license, apply for a fishing license, buy a cell phone, visit a casino, get a prescription, hold a rally or protest, donate your blood, or buy any M-rated video game. The only place an ID with a photo is considered to be racist is voting. And it's ridiculous. You know what the whole thing with this law is? I tell you, it comes down to this in a nutshell. The bottom line is it makes it difficult to cheat. And we all know that the Democrats for years have cheated in elections. It's well documented. And the dead cannot get a voter ID. And that's
But
what they're against.
let's cover both sides and say what's good for one is good for both and good for the independent voter. It's going to keep everybody honest in this game, not one side or another, but it's a serious thing. I think it's almost like you said, getting on a plane, getting public assistance. You need to document yourself. You need to show you're here. And that's just an excuse by the MLB saying that you're going to be potentially restricting voting for people of color. Okay, there's plenty of people that don't have color, call them white people if you want, that may need IDs or may not be able to vote because they don't have IDs. So to use that an excuse is just an excuse, and I don't buy it for 1 minute because I know a politician when I see one, and I don't care whether they're black, red, white, or yellow, they want to fill their pockets. Keep your eye on their hands because it's going to be putting some green stuff in their pockets. Without a doubt. They're not in it to help you. They're in it to help themselves. And you can see all these salaries that they pulled down year after year. Biden's a millionaire. His son's working for, and you could probably bring that up with the Republicans too. It's just a sin the way this, it used to be, I guess, maybe it's always been that way. but public service goes a long way.
Well, public service is out the window. The problem is career politicians now. These guys are in 40, 50 years. When our forefathers found this country, they were farmers, they were lawyers. They went they served their country and then they couldn't wait to get back to their fields or get back to their law practice. Those days are gone now. Now they are career politicians, and we need to go back somewhat to those kind of ideals
And
and
it's about
ideas.
power and money
Power and
is
money.
what they're
That's what the
after.
whole thing is all about. All right,
Yep.
I got another story that might rile you up.
Not that we're already not
No, we're
riled.
not already riled up. Umpire Angel Hernandez. You know him, right? He lost his lawsuit against Major League Baseball alleging racial discrimination. Here we go. Let's play the race card. The Cuban born Hernandez sued in 2017 in U.S. District Court in Cincinnati, a case that was later moved to New York. Hired as a big league umpire in 1993, he alleged he was discriminated against because he had not been assigned to the World Series since 2005 and had been passed over for crew chief. Hernandez was made an interim crew chief last season um, due to the fact that guys were getting sick, so they had nobody else. So at the beginning of the pandemic delayed shortened season, he became a crew chief. The court concluded that no reasonable juror could find that MLB's stated explanation is a pretext for discriminatory motive, and that's why they threw the case out of court. So, in other words, he sucks as an umpire. He's a terrible umpire. He's lucky he's got a job. Why he's suing MLB? And MLB literally said that he wasn't that good an umpire. The report cards that they get were not that great on him. That's why he didn't get. And the judge went on to say also that there was another Latino umpire that did get promoted and did go to or was chosen for World Series and All Star games. So that shows that Major League Baseball is not discriminating against him because of his race. They didn't discriminate against the wall. He just sucks.
Yeah, and
He's a lousy umpire. He's terrible, and he hates the
yeah,
Mets. But
uh,
it's known throughout baseball that he's terrible.
yeah, he's an equal opportunity bad umpire. Unfortunately, he's probably not a bad person, but unfortunately, he's just not a good umpire. And if you know the name and you've watched baseball before, you know that there's always going to be an issue if he's behind the plate, uh, especially if he's behind the plate. You know, what can I say other than you're right? And I think that unfortunately, every umpire that puts his time in doesn't deserve to be elevated, unfortunately. And Hernandez has proved it, and now the court has backed it up. So, you know, be careful about what you say and alleging different things. And now the spotlight's showing back at him that yeah, he's not that good.
Yeah, 27 years of bad umpiring, and he's complaining. He's lucky he's got a job for 27 years in Major
Yeah,
League Baseball.
it's amazing that they've kept him all this time because you know perception is a different thing. Maybe he doesn't have certain skills that are required by to make good calls. I mean, it's obvious that there's been a lot of bad calls, and some people have bad calls, but other people are consistently bad.
Well, you can say that at least he is consistently awful. Um, there's the other guy too. I think it's CB Buckner. Is he the guy? He's all pretty bad too. but he's kind of quiet, and Hernandez is out there, throwing people out of games and stuff, and is, I think, universally hated. And I've read where he's not a nice guy off the field either. So I don't know. I'm just saying what I read, but you know, uh, yeah, there you go. It says his performance explains why he's not getting anywhere because he sucks. He's a terrible umpire.
Yeah, and it's not being a cliche when you say that. I know because a lot of people like to, jump on the bandwagon of umpires occasionally. But yeah, Angel Hernandez is lucky he has a job in
He's
MLB
got a
baseball.
job, and I could probably say why he's got a job, but I'm not going to. Here's a story I found just the other day. Before we get into that, Rich, let's tell the folks how they can be a part of the show. They can call us at 516-619-6341 and leave a voicemail. And we are working on some live streaming stuff, but we're still playing around with equipment and stuff. So please bear with us. But you can send us a voicemail 516-619-6341, or you can write us at the old way at Gary at baseballtalkradio.com or Rich at baseballtalkradio.com.
Yeah, you can reach us right at those two email addresses if you have a guest proposal, something you want us to talk about on a show, or just to let your opinion be known. Maybe you don't agree with what we said in this show and you want to pass it along to us. You can use those areas. And we'd like to also announce that we're on patreon.com, and that's patreon.com/baseball talk. You can sponsor us there, and we have some extra goodies for you if you want to be a sponsor there on Patreon. Some audio files that you won't find anywhere else, including some of this pre-show banter that I've been putting up. We'll include a few minutes of that, maybe a minute or two afterwards. I don't know. And some live shows. As Gary said, we'll be streaming live throughout the season here and there on our Patreon site. And you can also donate through our Baseball Talk Radio site at Anchor FM. So you go to anchor.fm/Baseball Talk Radio show, and you can find our main page there and hit the sponsor button. $1 a month is all we ask, and you'll be right in with all of the sponsors that choose to sponsor us. And again, we're going to try to do some extras for you this year, but we need your help to do that. It gets a little expensive to run these things. At times, everybody thinks it's free, but if you know anything about life, nothing is free.
There's no free lunch. You gotta pay
Yeah.
for everything. All right, Rich. I ran across this story. I don't know if you saw this. Angels pitcher Ty Buttery says he abruptly quit baseball in the middle of a promising career because he was playing for the wrong reasons, money, and to prove other people wrong. I'm tired of pretending and lying to the best fan base in the world, a 28-year-old Buttery wrote on social media. Life is super simple. Find your true passion, find people you love, and don't give a damn what any person outside those lines think. People love to have control over others. A former fourth round draft choice of the Red Sox, Buttrey was dealt to the Angels as part of the Ian Kinsler trade in 2018. He appeared in 115 innings over the last 3 seasons with the Angels, became one of the most dependable options in the Los Angeles bullpen. And at the age of 28, he just decided to retire. He just didn't have it in him. A little shocking to play that long. you're playing since you're a kid, and not to have the thing. But he does
Yeah.
say he played the game his whole life for everyone else. So, um, boy, what a shame though when you have that kind of talent and you don't want to do the thing that you're so talented at. So,
Yeah.
um,
Amazing. Walking away from 600,000 in salary for 2021. And after a year or two, he might be into the millions. Average
mhm.
pitchers nowadays get paid big money. But as he said, he retired because he was tired of, you know, pretending, didn't want to do it for money, and didn't want to do it because other people wanted him to do it.
Yeah,
So, yeah, that's,
you got to give him credit.
yeah, he
Uh,
was in a situation.
there are those of us that would have loved to have his talent and would love to be in his situation, but not having either. I guess you got to give him credit for having the guts to walk away from that kind of money and an easy career. So, good luck to him.
Yeah, and a quote from him didn't really specify. It says here in the New York Post article, his next step for him and his wife, other than to quote, start living the life we really want. And another quote, as a normal, hardworking dude that loves his family and his friends. So he wants to get off the MLB stage and just live a normal life, so to speak.
It certainly looks that
Interesting.
way. Yeah, very interesting. But, wow. It's just kind of shocking at the age of 28,
Yeah, because he's obviously been playing baseball a long time, but
Yeah,
eh,
most of his life,
sometimes,
but he says he's been playing for other people, not for him. So,
yeah, it reminds me of a time earlier in my life. I went through school to be a blackjack dealer. I paid for it myself as an early 20s, and I said to myself after I was done graduating the school, I don't want to do this, and I never did. Paid $1,000 for nothing.
does it help you playing though?
It could, I guess, but gamblers never win. You know that.
Yes, I know. But sometimes it's fun just trying to win.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big gambler by any stretch of the imagination, but I do like the casinos uh, to go to and play some slots and play some blackjack once in a while. But I'm not very good at it, so I don't win anyway. But
Well, we have to keep our eye on the MLB announcement this week. Good article in New York Post again. Phil Mushnick had an article. If you get the chance, I'll put it up on the screen for our YouTube listeners as well. MLB All Star Game relocation is senseless and crazy, is the title of it. Um, Love the way it starts out, too. Perhaps it's time for a significant third political party, the surprise party. It would represent the most vastly underrepresented U.S. citizens, those who value and even practice common sense. So, good article there. Uh, if you want to read it,
yeah, I got to take a look at that because there's a lot of stupid things that's going on with that. He makes a point.
yeah, and
Atlanta has a African American mayor. Um, I heard a journalist say that it's considered to be the Black Wall Street now because lots of black companies are opening up down there. So they're all getting punished for no reason at all. And you see now, you see how the people in Georgia that started this whole thing against this law that got all people worked up about it. Now they're saying, well, wait, don't boycott us. Don't boycott us. Well, you started it. So you're the one that got to answer for it. You
Yeah, it's gonna.
started this. You went around playing the race card, telling everybody how racial it is and it's suppressing voters, and now other people are reacting to that by boycotts, and now you're going to pay for it. So you're the ones responsible. Don't blame other people. So I'll have to check out Mr. Mushnick's article. I'm sure it's a good one. He's a good writer, and
Big signing. We didn't talk about this before we close out, but the Mets superstar there finally signed, I understand.
yes, Francisco Lindor. He had set a opening day, which now got canceled for 3 days, so they could have negotiated a few more days. Um, 10 years, I think it was. I can't remember the exact number right now.
Is it
300.
325 or something?
I think it was 341 or something. They offered him 10 years at 325. He wanted 12 years at 385, and I think they kept the years at 10 and met in the middle with the money. So I think it was 10 at 365 or 341 or something like that. But yeah, Lindor signed. I can find out.
Yeah, 341.
I've got kind of mixed feelings on it. I think they should have signed him. But when after he turned down 10 years at 325, I would have said adios. I wouldn't have made any further offer to him and either take it or leave it. Apparently, they wanted to make sure that they signed him, so they. You said it was a 341.
341 is what
Yeah,
it's saying.
341. They wanted to go the extra money, I guess, the extra 16 million, and give it to him. So, you know,
Yeah, I
uh,
didn't think he was in that category. I mean, granted, he's a great baseball player, but really, usually only the real elite get that kind of money. And I never had him in that elite crowd.
well, they
Uh,
considered him very highly. He's the number one shortstop in baseball. People say so. I
but
don't
still, I
know. I
you
want
know,
to. My problem was this: you don't know what he's going to do in New York. New York's a different animal, as you know. Philadelphia is different. It's tough to play in these cities, and we don't know how he's going to end up performing. I'm assuming because he is such a good ball player, he'll have no problem. But um, I don't know. You just it's just there's other guys on the team that I think are just as important. Michael Conforto, I'll be very ticked off that they lose him because I think he's a homegrown talent. I saw him play in Double A. I'm sorry, I saw him playing in Short League A, and with Brooklyn, and he was, and he's been good for this team, and um, I guess he's been up 6, 7 years already, and I think that's a guy they should really go after and sign. The problem with him is he's the Scott Boras guy, so that's going to be tough. Boras likes to take everybody to free agency, and I hope they don't lose him in free agency. But I would make him an offer that But are we going to compare everything to Lindor now? That's the whole problem.
yeah. And like I was saying, I mean, I know he's a good baseball player, above average. He's been in the league for 6 years now. Look at these numbers. If you're looking at our screen, a Hall of Fame statistics, he's nowhere near on his way to the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. I could be wrong in a few years, but no, I just don't see the hype around him. Yeah, he might be a good shortstop, very reliable, but not that centerpiece kind of money. That's that's a guy that you're going to build a team around. He's going to carry your team hopefully for you. a pitcher, somebody in the outfield that's going to hit 50 home runs a year for 10 years. I don't see this person contributing to the Mets on that scale.
Well,
Yeah, good player,
he
but
has
not great.
he has the belief they are going to build around him. They're building their infield around him, strong up the middle. It frees Jeff McNeil to play second, and he's better at defense at second than anywhere else. Next year is going to be interesting because they got Robinson Cano coming back with it, unless he trips again, which we all are hoping for here in New York, that he gets a lifetime ban so we don't have to put up with him anymore at the age of 112 playing second base or trying to play second base. But unless they decide just to buy out the rest of his contract, tell him to go goodbye. But they're stronger up the middle with him there at shortstop. They gave up two promising shortstops, so they really had to try to sign him, and they wanted to get it done, and you know it's what the market has, and he's on a high level. Stats, the stats that we used to look at aren't considered very reliable anymore. They have their own new sets of stats, Rich. So
that's why I'm bringing up these stats that you see on the screen, because they're terrible. It's horrible. I've seen, good level players. If I was that owner, I would have never splashed that kind of money out for them. Let somebody else do it. But it wouldn't have been me. He bought a bill of goods in that, I think.
Well,
look at the numbers.
Everybody seems to think he's, he's a 285 hitter. He's not going to hit home runs. I think he's a five-time All-Star.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's what you pay for nowadays,
Yeah, and up until this point of his career, he's made $30 million, $17 million. It's about his speed, about $20 million most in my book. But, that's just me. I could be wrong.
That's my way, yeah.
I could be wrong, but it wouldn't have been me. If I own a baseball team, I'm still going to stay in reality. I think the new owner of the Mets wanted to make a splash, but he made the splash on the wrong guy. How about your first baseman? He's going to need $300 million.
Well, we'll see with him. I mean, we hope he will, but he's only had the one season, really, that he did anything. Last year was a so-so year, though he did hit a number of home runs again, but his batting average was terrible, so we'll see what happens this year with him. That's down the road. I guess you have to spend money now to make money, and they're taking the chance that between having him here in a leadership role, as a defensive role, as an offense role, that it's better than what they got rid of. And I think that's what the thinking was. So, and he's considered highly by scouts. So, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's not my team. It's not my money. Like I said, I would have the final offer, when that was turned down, that would have been it for me. And I would have got if there's going to be lots of shortstops available next year, would have went out and got somebody else next year at a lesser money. But they wanted to
half price.
They wanted to make sure they made a splash and got this guy, and his name was a big name, and they had given up a lot to get him, and so they wanted to keep him here, and that's what they did. So let's hope he performs, and up to his capabilities or up to his salary. Oh,
we'll have to see. Time will tell. But thanks for tuning into this edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, you can send us an email, Rich at baseballtalkradio.com or Gary at baseballtalkradio.com. And we're looking forward to next week's show. We'll have a couple of weeks in the books to talk about. And for the Mets, it'll be 1 week, but we're going to catch up with everyone.
A couple of games at least.
So
but
thanks
I'll be watching
again.
other games.
Yes, indeed. All right, Gary, you have a great Easter, what we have left of it here. And to our listeners, happy Passover is just ending today, I believe. And just make it a great weekend and start to the week next week and tune into our show again, will you?
Okay, and we'll see you next time on another edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show.